A Narcissist Floundering. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Harry's wife's attendance at the Kevin Costner fundraiser really is the gift that keeps on giving. It has provided me with a number of videos to demonstrate her narcissism in action, and also no doubt provide you with quite a level of entertainment at her ridiculous behaviours. One of the problems that Harry's wife has is that as a consequence of having no emotional empathy and a somewhat impaired cognitive empathy radar, she repeatedly glitches. Some narcissists don't react in certain situations because they simply don't know what to do, but they're not bothered by it and they'll just walk away. So for instance, where somebody's upset, that particular middle lesser may well say, "What the fuck's wrong with you? Why are you crying?" He has absolutely no understanding of why that person is upset because he has no emotional empathy and he doesn't have any cognitive empathy to cause him even to create the pretense of caring. And he just shrugs and walks away. It doesn't make him look necessarily stupid because he's asserted control by withdrawing himself, has left that intimate partner remaining upset, but it's probably not witnessed by many other people, and thus he gets away with it. In some instances, there's a hesitation from the narcissist before they respond, as the imitation game is taking place. The narcissism sends off that cherry picker to go into that huge warehouse of different responses to try and find the appropriate warehouse response, and in some instances is delayed in doing so. Sometimes the response that comes back fits perfectly, and unless you look very carefully, you think it's a seamless adoption, and therefore it is genuine. But in some instances, you can see that little delay between what has happened and the narcissist's response, which shows that the cherry picker has been away formulating the appropriate response for the narcissist to show to you. In some instances, what comes back doesn't quite fit, and you might get an incongruous response to what has actually occurred, which highlights the fact that the nature of the narcissist is such that they're not polished enough, they're not evolved enough to fit in. Some narcissists are absolutely brilliant at this, having fast cherry pickers and a vast array of warehoused responses, so that whatever situation they are faced with, they are able to adopt the supposedly compassionate or concerned approach and do so in a seamless fashion. This enables them to fit in and hoodwink millions of people as if, for instance, they're a caring president or world leader. In the circumstances, Harry's wife's narcissism doesn't always get it right, and we've seen many instances of her awkwardness where it simply is going, does not compute, and the delayed response results in her floundering around like a misfiring Stepford wife. This creates anxiety for Harry's wife because its aim is to try and get her to be motivated to respond, but often she ends up fluttering her eyelashes, something I've spoken about why she blinks so much, messes around with her hair, again I've explained in parts passing why that is, that she claps like a seal on cocaine, that she potters around in circumstances where she's not wanted, that she keeps touching people unnecessarily. All of these are incongruous responses because her narcissism doesn't quite know how to make her act. And we have another example of how Harry's wife is floundering, and it arises from the Kevin Costner event. Here comes the footage for you to observe. have it. Now, I've already analysed for you the microphone failure, so I don't need to go over that, save to say that that wounded her. And in the immediate aftermath of that, she's effectively discombobulated, so that when she walks across the stage, notice she doesn't look at anybody, because her narcissism has caused her to shrink within herself, and instead what does she do? She makes a beeline for one of the awards. Get your hands off, Duchess of Delusion. They don't belong to you, and it's Harry who's actually presenting the award, not you. So why would you go and pick it up? The answer is she's floundering, and her narcissism is in a flat spin trying to work out what she ought to do. Thus, as a consequence of the wounding she experienced at failing to take the mic and making a speech, she walks across in a rather wooden fashion, because at this juncture, her narcissism is effectively doing this, and if you imagine it's a group of minions sat around up in the brain space of her head, wounded, immediate action required, what do we do? And she just stumbles forward and make a beeline for the award. Why not just go and stand to one side? Of course she doesn't, because the narcissism is flailing around. She's floundering as they attempt to get her to do something. So she walks over and picks up the award, lack of boundary recognition, and stands to one side. Harry has an interaction with the gentleman in the orange t-shirt who has the mic and speaks, and then somebody passes a mic to Harry. And Harry's wife, what's she doing? She's bobbing up and down. She's sort of presenting the award, yet not letting go of it. And then she looks behind her, expecting what? The gentleman in uniform are probably thinking, what on earth is she doing? And then, of course, as Harry comes along, she has to assert control over him by placing a hand on him and placing the rictus grin in place once again. But if you, having watched that clip, just focus solely on her and not the interaction between Harry and the gentleman in the orange t-shirt, you will see she comes onto the stage after having been wounded, walks rather awkwardly over, picks up an award which is nothing to do with her, but her narcissism causes her to inject herself into the scene because she believes that she's important. She then sort of bobs up and down, completely uncertain as to what she ought to be doing, until Harry then comes across and she pats him into place. It's rather entertaining. And all of this is happening because she doesn't naturally know how to conduct herself, because, one, she has no emotional empathy, and in effect, in other circumstances, her narcissism would tell her what to do through facade management and cognitive empathy so that she would behave in a manner which looked less awkward. But if you imagine, the wounding has almost caused it to damage the machine, cause it to glitch. So reeling from that wounding, she wanders over and it's does not compute, pick up award, put award down, present award, look at Harry, put hand on Harry. The robot that is Harry's wife is glitching, and it shows as she flounders. And it makes it worse for her because, of course, she flounders in full view of an audience, although they may not particularly pick up on what's going on. But the rest of us do after the event through video analyses such as these, which demonstrate how she's floundering because her narcissism has taken a hit from the wounding, hasn't recovered sufficiently to guide her in a natural and seamless way, so she looks completely out of place. And this out-of-place response is something that we've seen repeatedly with Harry's wife, because the form of her narcissism is such that it isn't evolved enough to deal with these situations on an ongoing basis. And when she's wounded, it sends her off kilter in the way that we have witnessed. Once again, by understanding that she's a narcissist and the way that her narcissism functions enables you added insight into why she behaves as she does. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for watching.